going with your father on the trail rides in the Canadian Rockies.
I was 13.
And this is the Canadian Pacific, wasn't it? The
Yes.
trail rides. You were 13 years old.
The first one I was on.
The first one you were on. Well, you weren't much older than that when you were actually guiding yourself.
Yeah, so the next year, you see, I looked after a few of the horses and riders and did odd jobs and things around there. On the ride, I dried dishes and helped make sandwiches and, that sort of odd things. And I saddled our horses. I was 13, but I'd been saddling the horses since I was 9 years old or younger.
And how many riders would there be in camp?
Well, I usually had about 8 or 9 riders to look after.
And you're 13 years old and saddling up the horses.
Yeah, I was 13, 14, and 15 when I was on the trail rides.
How did the horses, now these were your own horses? Or,
Yes.
Yes. How did you get those horses into the Banff area for the trail rides?
Trailed them.
You trailed them all the way.
I rode with the
Donna,
horses.
did you do that alone?
No, I usually had someone with me. Yeah, I was 12 years old. First time I took them through for Dad. I rode from here to Seabee, which was, they estimated about 30 miles.
With that many horses?
And I had these horses and another rider to help.
Oh, that just blows me away.
And
That's
we back from the
amazing.
trail ride. I remember I was 14, and Dad went home in the car, and I brought the horses home by myself when I was 14. I wanted to change horses part way, and they couldn't catch those old rascals. Not till I was, just about 3 or 4 miles from home, I finally got them cornered and caught and fresh.
Did you like doing that work, Donna?
Yeah, oh yes.
Yes.
I like to be out riding, and I like to be fussing with the horses.
They speak very highly of you in one of the brochures that the CP Rail put out about the trail rides, and this amazing young girl with her long dark braids hanging down her back.
The what?
Your long dark braids
Oh,
hanging
yeah.
down your back.
My pigtails.
Just a slip of a girl, really, and doing this work. It just amazes me. I wasn't clear on how the horses got there, and to know that you did that, it just is amazing. When you were doing that kind of thing, it was pretty much of a job. Now, did you get paid for that?
I just got tips the first year.
Yes.
And after that, I got paid regular wages that the men were getting
Isn't
because
it?
I was doing the job.
You were doing the job of a man.
Yes, and the second year I was on the trail ride, I don't know what was wrong, but it was chaos. Nothing was in order. The weather was bad, and I think help was hard to get. You see, the war was on, and the first year I was on the trail ride when I was 13. There was a lot of young men were working there guiding. They were all in the army by the next year. They were gone. So,
You had to do even more work.
oh well, I looked after our own horses.
Yes.
And I just tried to help with, like, making sandwiches and drying dishes and a few things like that.
We're going to come back to the warriors because I want to hear some more of your memories about what may have happened right around here that you can remember.
Yes.
But before we do that, just the chronology of it, you started out at about the age of 12, 13, and then 14. About 15, didn't you start actually showing horses in the ring and doing shows?
It was, I was 15 going on 16. I got this job in February. I was still 14. I became 15 in March. Mm-hmm. Before the show came, the show was in May.
In Calgary?
Mm-hmm. And we didn't have anything here. They had bred good horses, but everything that was good was sold,
Yes.
And so I got a job riding horses down at Holden's.
Where?
Holden.
Holden.
They lived south of Calgary. Midnapore was their address. So I went down there on this job Mother didn't like the idea, but I wanted to do it, so Dad took me down.
And you started riding.
I started riding their horses and getting dumped off. Oh, they were quite proud of their badly behaved horses.
Well, were these, and then you were asked, or did you volunteer? How does that transfer to the show ring?
Well, they Holden showed in the
they
spring
did.
show,
I see.
and so they needed a rider. And so I asked Dad, we didn't have enough horses that were good enough. So I asked Dad to get me a job where I can ride horses. So he did. And Mother, I talked to Mother first, and then she'd go see her friend Lucy, and Lucy was hopeless. And so finally I turned to Dad and said, Dad, get me a job riding her. I want to ride in the next spring show. Mother had taken me to the horse show, and I was fascinated. And I just determined I was going to ride in the next one. So he got me a job that was down at Holden's. Oh, Mr. Holden was an awful old slave driver. He'd work you to death, He would get up at 5:30 in the morning. He never got to bed didn't get in for supper till 8 o'clock, And it's just a slave driver. So the second year I was there, I had the old boy figured out. Don't hurry and get your work done, because he'll have another job for you. Oh, was he a slave driver? He was. Well, his youngest son, Arthur, was very willing, and he worked him to death. And Arthur just left home and got a job in town. I don't blame him.
No.
But Desmond, the other one, he was so damn lazy, it didn't matter. He would just sit there, and his dad would yell at him, he wanted something. Yeah, he'd pay no attention. He wouldn't do it.
These horses, were there any of them that you remember particularly? Was there a particularly good one that you
Well,
rode
there was
in the
the
ring?
best one was probably Tiny Toes.
Tiny Toes.
And after I'd done all the work, Desmond, that useless son of his, took over riding Tiny Toes, and he was too heavy for him. And he didn't ride him properly, he just sat there. And I know his brother, Arthur, left home. Arthur was a good rider, but he got tired of being bullied by the old man, you see. So he went to town, got a job. And he had a little more on the ball than Desmond was just lazy around home,
So it fell to you to show this horse.
I couldn't stand the man. But anyhow, he was sitting there tinkering with something one day, and Mrs. Holden called him for dinner. Paid absolutely no attention. She said, if any woman is stupid enough to marry that man, I hope she hits him over the head with a log. That's what his mother said. She said when he was a kid, he got a number of lickings. She said, didn't do a bit of good, but it gave her some satisfaction.
Well, who was giving you instruction on how to do this kind of riding? Or were you teaching yourself?
Mr. Holden himself.
He was, so he did know something.
Everything was English in the 20s, and that style of riding. And later on, when I started riding with the European masters and really knew how to ride a jump, now at Holden's you just sort of did the best you could.
But still, you won. You won for your age.
Yeah, horses went for me. The horses would work for me. And Ditto was terrible, though. She threw me off more than she ever went over a jump. I usually went over the jump without her. But she was spoiled, Today, these riders that they'd have sent her to the cannery. They wouldn't have had to do with her. But Tiny Toes was a good, honest old horse, and I won the ladies' hunter on him.
Amazing. Was that your first time in the ring?
I guess I was 13 going on 14 at the time. But he just went around there and so perfectly. And Desmond was riding him. Desmond was a heavy rider and couldn't
do it as well.